Introduced in 1979 as a 1980 model, the Chevrolet Citation was exactly the right car at the right time, introduced at the right moment in automotive history. The Citation was an all-new model spanning less than 15 feet from bumper to bumper and riding atop a 104.9-inch wheelbase. Yet, despite its compact external dimensions, on the inside, the Chevrolet Citation, like its ex-car siblings, provided significant interior room beyond what customers expected for a car in this particular size class. 5 full-size adults could fit in comfort in the front seats as well as the rear seat, with over 6 feet of combined legroom between the front and rear passenger compartments. Moreover, the Citation also offered significant cargo carrying capability, with its cargo hold coming within 1/10 of 1 cubic foot of the full-size Impala's trunk. The car was even able to tow 2,000 pounds when properly equipped, enough for a small boat or trailer for the weekend. The Citation represented Chevrolet's first entry with a transversely mounted engine and transmission and front-wheel drive layout. This particular vehicular layout was chosen for interior packaging as it allowed for a minimal hump in the rear floor pan area as well as the front area, as well as improved traction in adverse weather conditions. Early X-Car prototypes employed Lancia Beta sheet metal, a car that bears more than a passing resemblance to the Citation. It was introduced in Europe in 1972. These prototypes were, of course, outfitted with General Motors running gear, including 2 engines that would be offered in the Citation. A 2.5-liter 4-cylinder from the Pontiac Motor Division that had previously powered the Astra, as well as an all-new 60-degree 2.8-liter V6 engineered by Chevrolet Division. The 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine had a proven reputation for reliability, especially reliability well beyond the Vega engine that it replaced in the Pontiac Astra. However, in spite of its reliability, the engine was highly crude, especially at idle, as it was a 2.5-liter 151 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine devoid of a balance shaft until 1988. The optional engine, the 2.8-liter V6, was much more pleasant and made 115 horsepower versus the 4-cylinder's 90 horsepower. This 2.8-liter V6 would go on to be used in a number of different General Motors vehicles, including Firebirds, Fieros, S10 pickups, Blazers, etc., and it was quite a versatile power plant for the time. It would also, in 1981, power a more powerful Citation X11, which had 135 horsepower. The X11 was part of an option package for 1980, but it was mostly just decals, as opposed to 1981, where it had a lot of unique equipment. To prove that the Citation was exactly the right car at exactly the right time, one only needs to look at the sales figures for the 1980 model year. Amazingly, this single vehicle for General Motors topped 811,000 sales in 1980 alone. That's right, 800+ thousand sales. By comparison, the contemporary Ford F-150 sells about 700 to 750,000 vehicles per year. Unfortunately, the Citation was dogged from the start with numerous engineering and reliability issues, which caused its reputation with the public to falter quite rapidly. This is best demonstrated by the sales figures for 1981, where the Citation went from selling about 810,000 units per year to about 410,000 units per year. And as the years ticked by, in 1982, the Citation sales dwindled to about 160,000 per year. In 1983, under 100,000 per year. In 1984, the Citation II, as it was rebranded in hopes of relaunching the car with a better perception of quality, sold just about 100,000 units per year. And in its final year, the Citation II sold just 62,000 units. Quite a steep and precipitous decline from the 800+ thousand units sold in 1980. The most prominent and published issues associated with the Chevrolet Citation upon its launch concerned the rear brakes, which had a tendency to lock and cause the car to lose control under hard braking conditions. General Motors ended up vigorously defending itself in the public and to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, with none other than Bob Eaton, who was then General Motors Director of Advanced Engineering, defending the company. Bob would later become the chairman and CEO of Chrysler Corporation upon the retirement of Lee Iacocca. Unfortunately, braking issues weren't the only thing that plagued the Citation. Other issues included power steering racks that had what was called morning sickness, meaning that it was especially challenging to turn the wheel left and right, most prominently when the car was cold, although if the situation got worse, it could happen under almost any conditions. The car also had issues with trim pieces falling off that weren't well attached, plastics degrading over time, funky ergonomics, including the vertically placed radio as opposed to the normal horizontal placement, and even a cruise control button that was at the end of the gear shift lever. Newer, lighter, tape-style window regulators and mechanisms also had a tendency to break, putting the windows off track and requiring an expensive replacement. Carburetors, particularly on the V6 engine, were not overly reliable and somewhat troublesome in this era of early electronic controls. However, despite these issues, the Citation really got so much so right in the engineering department, particularly with respect to packaging. For anyone who sat in or driven a Citation or an X car, it's quite clear that the interior roominess is something that is just almost unmatched by even full-size cars today, with highly open and airy cabins, lots of legroom, excellent seat comfort, and an interior quietness that, frankly, for the price class, was world-class. Aside from the previously mentioned creaks and moans that plagued the early Citation's front suspensions, the suspension setup actually created a very pleasant ride over most road conditions, with road shocks being relatively hushed and bad pavement being eaten up by the suspension system, frankly, quite well, especially for the era. The cars also did truly make the best use of their front-wheel drive setup and delivered on the promise of front-wheel drive offering better traction in winter weather conditions. Consumers truly loved the ability for the Citation to pull through snow and adverse weather and regarded it quite highly, especially if they traded in a previous rear-wheel drive model. Overall, the Chevy Citation was fundamentally the right car at the right time. It just unfortunately had myriad engineering quirks when it was introduced, some of which are admittedly inexcusable, but it was an especially challenging time for General Motors in the late 70s as it tried to reboot its entire product portfolio to meet new CAFE or corporate average fuel economy regulations. These regulations arguably rushed General Motors into a full redo of every car in its lineup at the same time, something that it had never had to do and arguably didn't have the staff, frankly, to do in the period that it was trying to accomplish its goals. Nonetheless, the Citation was an historic vehicle that got so much so right, but obviously had a number of things wrong. And of course, by the time it was sunset in the 1985 model year, most of these bugs had been worked out. But just like many other vehicles in the 1980s that General Motors got right, it was canceled just as most of these issues were corrected. Hope you enjoyed this feature on the 1980 Chevrolet Citation. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, take care. Thanks again for watching this feature on the 1980 Chevrolet Citation, the first Chevy of the 80s. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit the super thanks button, which is the heart-shaped icon with the $sign at the bottom right of your video browser. Until next time, be sure to check out the video thumbnails at bottom left and right. If you're not yet subscribed, hit the circular icon of the 67 Buick Riviera at the top left. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, take care.